Good morning, good morning. You know what day it is? It's Fishing Friday. But I got off work this morning and it was downpouring on the way home. So I said, I'm not gonna risk going out to the coast or on the river where I heard there was lightning happening. So I'm not gonna deal with the lightning, especially in a aluminum boat. Not gonna happen. So what I'm gonna do today is I am gonna show you how to make my shark rigs. I actually have two sets of shark rigs I do. One is for threshers, which I set up on a three-way swivel. So I can suspend it from the bottom, put it anywhere in the range that I want, that I kind of look on a fish finder and I see where they're suspending at. So, and the second one is a plain old fish finder rig, but it is with a shark leader, steel leader. So that's what I'm going to set up today. So I'm going to show you all both rigs, how to set them up, how to make them, and hopefully you guys enjoy. All right, so first shark rig I'll set up is my standard shark rig. So what I do is I got Surfstrand 1.7 AFW. See if you can see that right there. And what I'll do for my standard rigs, I just kind of there we go. I pull off. Okay, this is 60 pound. This is 60 pound test steel leader. And what I'll do is I'll pull off the amount I want, which 9 times out of 10, I usually go with like a 2.5, 3 foot leader. And what I'll do is same with the crimps. I like using black crimps because it doesn't shine in the water. I don't like using shiny crimps because I just don't. So these are number 3.055 inch, 1.40 millimeter. And what I like to do is I'll go ahead, just put that in there like that. It's the problem being a blind man needing glasses. You gotta hit that hole. There we go. Sometimes you need to put hair around it, but you know what it is. Anyway, then I take my crane swivels. You can see that. And yes, I do get everything that I have for making my lead materials I get from Bodega Tackle. So then I take regular old swivel. Then I go ahead and I'll put it back through the leader, like the sleeve like that. And sometimes what I'll do too is I'll flip it and I'll run it back through. But today, I'm not gonna do that. So I'm just gonna leave a little tag in there, pull that loop to about right there. Then take my crimpers, nice set of crimpers I got. And crimp it together. See, got my leader and everything in there. All crimped together. So then, like I said, I like 2.5, 3 foot line or leader out. Because sharks like to wrap themselves up in stuff. So if you make it long enough, they wrap up in just a leader. then you don't have to worry about your line breaking. And it helps if you have sharp cutters. So then I'll go ahead, I'll put another sleeve on. Put another sleeve on there. Like that, such. And my hooks I like to use for shark fishing. I really do like using 7/0 barbless hooks. 7/0 barbless hooks get a nice bite, but they're also very easy to pull. Oh wow. Guess I got the wrong hooks. These are barbed hooks. But I do like to use barbless hooks for shark fishing. That way it's easier to get them off. So then I'll go ahead, run this back through the sleeve. Pull it tight. Well, not real tight, but I like to leave a little loop there so the hook has a chance to float around a little bit. Then I'll crimp it. And that is my standard shark rig. Just a swivel on one end, crimped. And like I said, normally I like to use barbless hooks, but this is a barbed hook. Crimped. Alright, so my next rig is for my thresher shark fishing, which like I said, I like to suspend this off the bottom. Actually, I like to put this, when I'm looking at my fish finder, I look to see where the main bait is, and I know that's probably where the thresher sharks will be hanging out, because they're usually hanging around the bait balls. So that's what I'm after right now. So I am going to set up, so I have a 3-way swivel. The 3-way swivel. And I'm going with my barbless hooks, 7/0 barbless hooks, for what I will be attaching my weight to. I have these swivel split ring interlock snaps that I will be using for the hold the weight on. And again, it will be 60-pound camo steel leader. So, what we do, we start out, and usually what I like to do for my tag line to my leader, quite truthfully, I prefer to go with fluorocarbon on my tag line to my weight. So if it actually gets caught on something, it'll break off. So what I'm going to show you right now is my tag line to my hook. So, damn it. And from my swivel to my hook, I really do want right about, I'd say it's right about 6 feet. Yeah, it's about 6 feet. So, and I'll put my sleeve on. Ah, darn it. I'm being kind of clumsy here, but that's all right. So I put my sleeve on my line, or my leader. Then I'll put my, and I always want to put my hook line on the center hook right here, or the center loop right here. The same thing goes. I want to pull that there and pull that loop, not real tight, but tight enough to hold everything together. That's about an 1/8 of an inch tag tail hanging out. Crimp it together. Boom. Oh, see, that's what happens when you don't have a good crimp on. Oh man, I gotta get me some new cutters. Alright, so we'll go with the new crimp. Crimp's on. Put that tag line in there. And the way you can avoid doing that, what I just did, is what I said earlier in my regular shark leader, is go ahead and fold that back inside there. But because I have crappy cutters and frayed, so it's kind of hard to stick it back inside. Oh, it's totally fraying on me. These are not good leaders. They shouldn't be fraying like this. But you know, they're not coated. If they're coated, then there shouldn't be a problem. But these aren't coated. So you just have to deal with it the way you deal with it. And sometimes when you run it back through, you gotta make sure. Okay, see how I ran that back through right there? I hope you can see that. There you go. And then just the main line, take the main line and pull it back through. That way you get a nice little loop right there. Go ahead and crimp it. Now give it a yank. See? That little extra in there gives a nice tight fit. All right, so then you go ahead and cut this off. Like I said, if you have sharp cutters, it's one thing, but I don't have sharp cutters right now. Go ahead and put a sleeve on. Now, the one thing I like to do when I make a thresher rig is put 2 hooks on. So what I'll do is I'll put that first hook on. I'll run the line through it. Ouch. So I'll run the line through it, get that right where I want it, and then I'll run it back through. And when I get this where I want it, then I'll crimp it right there. So I crimp it and make sure it's nice and tight. And then I'll put another sleeve on. Grab another hook. And then, is what I want to do is when I have this set up, I want both my hooks to hang like this. Just like that. I mean, this one here, I'll probably bring it up a little higher, but for the most part, that's the way I want my hooks to set. So that way when I hook my squid, I'll hook my squid by the top here, and then the bottom of the squid, I'll hook it through the head down here. And that way it floats in a current. Like I said, I'll crimp it. I didn't double up on this one because I don't really like to double up on this bottom hook. Just give it one hell of a crimp. Give it a tug. There we go. Now, if you can see that, my head, the top of my squid will be right there, and my bottom of the squid will be right here. So I'll tag it through the top portion, and then put this in the head down below. And that way when I'm floating through the water, because basically what I want is I want it to float like this as it's going through the water. Because I have my monofilament line here with the weight on it, so everything is floating out this way. So that when a thresher comes through, it's floating hopefully normal like a squid would. And then hopefully that thresher shark will just devour it and we got fish on. And that is my shark setup. So I will show you how I set it up on my pole, because my pole that I fish with will have a bobber on it, a float that I can adjust to depth and set it where I want it, because when I see the bait in the column, the water column, I can set it for that depth. That way when the fish are coming through, the shark's coming through, it'll be right there at that depth. So hopefully when I'm doing this, the threshers will hit. All right, now I'm going to show you how to truly set up my thresher shark rig. So I got this slider right here. I can set that at any depth I want. And what I'll do is go ahead and slide this up a little bit. And normally what I do is I'll pull out the line that I want, and I'll tie a knot in my line right there. So that way this thing, it's supposed to stop where I. So normally I'll set this where I want it to be for depth. And then I'll put a bead on. Sometimes I like to go with a smaller bead on top of this. That way I don't have to worry about anything going past it. But sometimes I just don't have those small beads. Like right now, I don't have small beads. So I just deal with the way I come, the way it goes. And then I have what you call a super float. It is actually from Double X Tackle, Gizmo bobber stop included. Got 'em. Every time I say stop, this damn thing stops. So, like I said, it's a bobber stop. Super float. So what I'll do is I'll put this through the top here. Sometimes it does go all the way through like I want, but sometimes it stops and I end up having to get a piece of wire or something like that to get it all the way through. And then what I do is I'll go ahead and put another bead on the bottom here so the bobber doesn't float over top the three-way swivel. And see, you see how it stops right there? That's where that bobber stop is. Boom. And then I got the bead on the bottom. So then I go ahead, take my three-way swivel that I just made with my Thresher Shark rig. And what I like to do is I like to double up. So what I'll do is I'll take and I'll put loop in there. Come on. And I'll take that loop and go right through there. And then I'll basically do a clinch knot only with the loop, and then I'll bring the tag line back through the loop of the clinch knot, which will give me double the line holding to the swivel. So then I'll go back through the loop right here. With my fat short fingers will get this done. There you go. And then I'll just start slowly pulling it together. And there we go. So now that's tied there. Now this is where I'll use 20-pound fluorocarbon cigar as my tagline to my sinker. And of course, when I'm doing a video, it's gonna be a jerk off. So then I'll go ahead. I'll just use a basic clinch knot here. I don't double up on this because I want, if something happens, I want the sinker to break away. Period. So I'll go ahead and do the simple clinch knot. Your typical 7 or 8 turns. Bring it back through. Always make sure you wet that line. There you go. And with this, because I'll be suspending it in the column level, I don't really care too much about length of this. Well, that's not true because I prefer that I don't have to worry about it tangling. So I like to go like 3 feet. And then I'll grab one of my swivels here with the snap, split ring snap, and then I'll tie it on. I mean, when you're coming down to this kind of stuff right here, you really don't really need a big swivel snap ring, because most time I'm only using, especially when I'm putting in the column where I think the threshers are, it's normally going to be anywhere from 3 to 6 ounces of weight, just to keep it down so the bait will string behind the pole. This is what irritates me most of all. I get fumble fingers and I start doing stupid things like this. Pull it tight. Always make sure you wet that line so it doesn't create too much heat. I mean, you really do want it to be able to break off, but not right now. All right, so basically that is my, oh, come on. That is my thresher rig. So when my weight, and this is what I'm talking about, tangling up, irritating. All right, so the way it should float is the weight down below and my hooks and stuff out this way. So that way I can set this thing at any depth I want with the weight here, and it will hang like that. And my hook's out this way. So that is my thresher rig. Hopefully this year I can get a couple threshers, but we'll find out. And when I use them this year, I'll let y'all know. So I have this set up, my thresher set up on a 6.5 foot tiger stick, ugly stick, and it is heavy, 30 to 60 pound line, 1 to 8 ounce lure with a Penn Squall 20 LW LH. Left-handed reel. I don't really like left-handed reels, but my grandson, I bought this for him, and when he went to Idaho, he left it. So this is my tribute pole to my grandson, Robert. And what I do is, like I said, I just find out where the bait fish is at. I set it in the column, the water column of where the bait fish is, and I let that lure, or let that bait float along in that area there. So hopefully this year I hook into a nice leopard or nice thresher shark and have a good video. All right, y'all. Have a great weekend. Peace.